We'll start off just for fun. Did you see the Ram Dass thing on Netflix?
Oh no, the Be Here Now or whatever, or Fierce Grace or something like that.
It's
I can't remember
basically
what it's
like
called.
it's just like a short little doc on him, and they're just interviewing him, and I guess he had a stroke,
Okay.
and I forget where it is. It looks like they're in Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just like spend a day with him, and he just talks about like moving on and like dying,
Yeah.
and how he's like one with it, and like making sure like if you put a specific focus on death throughout your life, it helps you live in the moment more.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, like they had a clock, or he had a clock like in his house, and they like did a shot of it, and like every time on the clock it just said now, 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 now. Like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool doc. I think
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy it. I thought it was like an episode series. I was excited, and like it was just like one, and I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But shot very well. Very interesting.
Cool.
So I was looking at that, and then trying to figure out what's going on with this eighth sphere thing.
Oh yeah.
Could you potentially, in 2 to 3 sentences, sum up what the eighth sphere is?
Yeah. 2 to 3 sentences.
Outside of it, it's like, okay, so it's an electric. It's almost like it's like outside of the Earth and the Moon.
Well, I think the physical location of the thing is probably not as important as its relationship with humanity. You know, you can always argue about where it is and how it's shaped and what its physics are and all that sort of thing, thinking of it as an actual place. I don't think that's as important as just knowing its effects.
Okay.
So the eighth sphere is the over-materialization of life. When things become too materialistic.
So it is an esoteric idea on some level.
Yeah,
But it is connected energetically to...
Yeah, it's delusion. It's a world of delusion, fantasy, and things like that. It's a world of untruth, of lies, of deception. It's a false world. If there's a real world, then there's a false one as well. That false world is the eighth sphere. So things that are inorganic, unnatural, based on delusion or falsehoods.
Okay, now it's starting to make sense.
And if you create a world based on these lies or misunderstandings, you're creating a world within the influence of the eighth sphere. So if the world has a natural flow to it, some might call it a natural evolution or a natural progression or just a natural organic state of life, all that which is unnatural and unhealthy to that state would be part of the eighth sphere or building the eighth sphere. And so what it is like, to me, a world is what you perceive, what a human being perceives is a world. So a human being can exist in a healthy and organic and spiritual world, or it can exist in a deceptive world based on lies and delusions and fantasies. So if you live in a fantasy world, you're living in the eighth sphere. And there are times when a civilization can be very eighth sphere oriented, when the sciences are delusional, when political ideologies are delusional, when the technology you develop has more power or you allow it to have power over you. That would be the eighth sphere. So if you become overly dependent on things like computers, you'd be living in an eighth sphere world. If you stop using your brain and let computers do your thinking for you, if you stop using your creativity and let computers do creative things for you, if you stop doing manual labor and allow machines to do manual labor for you, if you use machines to replace our naturally given functions, you're basically living in the eighth sphere. So the more human and spiritual things you do, the more organic things that you do, the more natural your world is, and the more you offload your functions to machinery, the more eighth sphere it is. Or if you live in like fantasy worlds, like dream worlds, if you're just all only interested in entertainment, virtual reality, escapism, things like that, like false
entertainment for yourself, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you'd rather like watch movies instead of dealing with life, stuff like that,
or doom scrolling on Instagram or whatever. Anything to stimulate your mind to take you out of like the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like, excuse me. That's like the eighth sphere. And you can get there are a lot of philosophers and spiritualists who will like say it's like this actual place. It's kind of around the earth. It's drawing matter from the earth and creating a separate world for people to live in. And that's all possible. Maybe it's true.
I mean, I guess if I think about it, it's like, if you try to look at it like it's like something that was in placed. Or in placed. I think that I'm always questioning my words. Like it was imparted and like put there like on purpose to like create this reaction, like da da da. It's like, no, like sometimes maybe it could just be like there is. It sounds so funny. There, for every action there's a reaction. It's like that energy sphere of, which is potentially not cool, is something that is a collective consciousness that has been created by the small amount of people that are trying to potentially control like en masse and then influence, and then that you absorb the influence, and then that influence then creates an outward like projection, and then now it's like the 10,000 rule or whatever, then 100,000, and now it's growing almost like a virus or whatever, whether it's negative or not negative. I'm not saying that necessarily, but then it's creating like an aura. I mean, it's just like meditating and going through your chakras and all this stuff. You're creating an aura around yourself. So then in a collective consciousness of a specific idea or lifestyle, it's like every single day I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, and most of these things aren't my choice. I have to do it, otherwise my existence isn't okay with the rest of the world. So I torture myself to do it. So now I'm just another like little ant in the hill, creating this society that now overall is electric paths. It's like I read this one thing where they said like like ghosts aren't real, but people are vibration and electricity. So if they spend the last 35 years of their life living the same exact pattern every single day, they're imprinting an electronic or an electric like energy within like their home or whatever. And it's like, oh, why do you hear someone walking upstairs or whatever? It's like that could just be in your mind, or you could actually physically be hearing it, or you could just be catching it from a realm that like you're not aware of, and it's in your and it freaks you out because you don't have like the actual like sensory ability to absorb what that actually was, but you're still aware of it. Everything is it's electricity, and it has a vibration. Everything is vibration. So then if a large en masse population is focusing on a specific like set of rules, it then creates some weird larger vibration. Like we're all just conduits for this weird larger vibration that maybe isn't necessarily healthy, but like you have no other choice to do it, and then now you're creating like a samsara loop.
Yeah.
Did I figure it out?
I think so.
Sick.
Yeah. I don't think I disagree with a single word you just said.
Cool.
Yeah. No, that was yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. I mean, some people will say like, oh, there are beings that do purposely create the eighth sphere trying to entrap humans and stuff like that. But I mean, it's like what you said, maybe they're just thought forms that humans created over the thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like maybe, Satan or Ahriman was created by us.
So I have another question with that.
That's a possibility, yeah.
So they say, I was listening to a lot of different like lectures, and they keep saying Lucifer or Ahriman. Mm-hmm. Who the frick is Ahriman?
Ahriman is like...
And why don't like...
in the Persian tradition, he was the spirit of darkness. So he's like the spirit of matter and materialism.
Okay.
So, the idea is that Lucifer is all spiritual and wants to spiritualize everything and get rid of the material world, and Ahriman is the opposite, wants to get rid of spirituality and have only the material world. And so these two beings are like two evil beings, but they're opposites.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, because I was like, is that like his brother or his cousin or just like his buddy or something? Like, what's
I
the
don't
deal?
know. I don't know. I think they're just personifications of forces of reality, but
I see. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's like kind of the spectrum of. Could you say it one more time? So Lucifer is like.
pure spirit and hates the material world, wants to destroy the material world, and wants to like have humans turn their back on the material world and basically destroy themselves and become pure spirit, just early death type thing. Just get rid of everything, stop existing, kind of a idea. And Ahriman is the opposite, wants everyone stuck in the material world and wants to ignore spirituality and get rid of spirituality from the human mind or human
And
experience.
focus on material.
Yeah. And when these two beings step out of, like when they're both in their realm,
So
kept
the
in their
Clintons
place.
are more like Armon.
Maybe. It depends on what you believe about them.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make a joke. I really don't know enough about any of that to be serious.
Who knows? I mean, if you believe that they engage in weird rituals, they might be more Lucifer. Who knows?
That's true. I think they just like killing people that
Yeah, I think
they don't like.
they're just power hungry. I don't know if too much spirituality or
Well,
tradition comes into it.
that's the thing, right? It's materialistic.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like materialistic doesn't have to be necessarily like buying a Audi.
Oh no, I mean like
could also-
scientific materialism. Like I only believe in matter. That's materialism. I don't believe in spirit.
Oh.
Yeah, when I say materialism, I don't mean consumerism. I mean
see.
scientific materialism.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, that's fine. I should have clarified. Because yeah, that word kind of has two meanings.
Semantics,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just meant like I don't believe in spirit. I don't believe in the mind. I don't believe in the soul. Everything's just atoms or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be materialism. And that's Ahriman's realm, is to get people to think like that. If Ahriman exists, that is, if it's actually some non-human intelligence out there, which it might be. I don't know. There's probably all kinds of life out there.
Yeah, because it was interesting. Like the one thing that they were like, someone was calling it like the religion of the eighth sphere.
Yeah, it is a religion. I mean, you look at modern science and it's its own religion.
It's a belief.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's like trying to like disseminate the confusion of mankind in modern day.
Disseminate the confusion, like spread confusion. What do you mean?
Oh yeah. So I said it back. Like, what's the opposite of disseminate?
Inseminate? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. To inseminate a consciousness of the reality of modern.
Yeah, they want you to see the world a certain way.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
hey,
They have their own.
look at this shit. Can we like? It's like almost. So the eighth sphere is almost like, yo, could we like take a breather and kind of like like the eighth sphere is like the halftime speech at a football game.
How do you figure? What do you mean?
It's like,
I don't know.
you're playing like this and you're playing like this. This is bullshit. We need to turn this shit around. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still trying to figure it out. Right? I mean, before I had a nice little speech where I think I understand it, but
that's interesting that you say it's the halftime speech.
yeah.
Because if you look at certain Rosicrucian or anthroposophical ways of looking at the development of a planet, we are in the very middle part of our development.
Yeah.
Over whatever billions of years it would take, and
Big change.
yeah, so for like a spiritual planet that descends into materialism, and then that materialistic world will then re-spiritualize back up toward a more spiritual world. We're at that halftime where we're the most material we'll ever be, and that's where there's that opportunity for the eighth sphere to appear, to like, because we're so far removed from spiritual knowledge that it's very easy to get lost in materialism and fantasy and delusion and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why there's so much confusion, like just driving your vehicle on the highway, and you have the guy, like, just the other day, this guy was like cutting me off, and he's like going around, he's passing me on the right, and he's like doing all this shit, and I'm just like in one lane, just like, all right, man, like, you understand I have like a old big truck, like, cool, you have like your Beamer, like, figure it out, man, like, you don't need to drive like a nut. And then, like, I pull up to a red light, and he pulls up next to me. I beat him to the red light. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're gonna cause an accident because you're like, ah, all the time. Like, what's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, I see that all the time. I will stay in my lane,
Yeah.
not try to pass anybody, and I will get to the same place at the same time as the dude who was passing everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And I think that's like a perception that is, like, for some reason, like, it's being manifested in everyday life, that you need to be aggressive and in front of everybody else. It's like it's the idea of, like, the capitalistic idea, which I'm not against capitalism. Like, I think there's good things to it. It should have some checks and balances, but I think also you can't just, like, throw the idea of capitalism to someone that doesn't really, like, have much of a reflective thought on their own actions.
Yeah.
Because it's very easily abused.
Yeah.
It's a very easily abused thing. It's like, it's silly, but, like, with great responsibility, great power comes great responsibility, right? And that's any human being and anything in your life. I mean, say you have a relationship with someone, and they're all pissed off about something that doesn't really mean anything to you, and they just work you up, and then you're just like, well, fuck you, and they're like, fuck you too, and like, now it's over, and then 3 weeks later, you're like, I miss that person, I wish that didn't. It's like you have that responsibility where if they get upset about something, you're just like, this has nothing to do with me at all. You're upset about something, let's figure out what it is and be, like, what's up? It's like having some, like, self-respect to be able to not just immediately be aggressive. And what's funny is once you get behind the wheel, it's like you have all that shit pent up, and now you're like, I'm gonna let it out on the road, but it's like, that's dangerous, dude. Like, you're gonna kill people or ruin or yourself.
Yeah.
It's such a fascinating thing. And I think, like, we're seeing more and more and more of that especially in the Northeast, because the Northeast is always the place that it happens, at least within this country, I believe. Like, it's like everything happens here first. Like, I read this thing where they were saying, like, technology in the Northeast versus, like, the Midwest is like 4 to 5 years ahead. Or even like, like, so that's I can use that word right now. Creativity, technology, inventions, all this stuff disseminates itself out from the Northeast because of New York City, I believe, a lot.
And Boston.
Yes. Yeah. New York City, Boston, and then Maine's up top, just like, hey guys, like, you're doing a good job, but, like, just, like, take a deep breath. Because they have a lot of air up there because of the trees, so they can, like, get more oxygen, so they can think clearer. less pollution.
We live in the woods right here.
Yeah. Well, you could, if you're smart, you find safer places in the Northeast. Healthier places to live. But then it, like, kind of it slowly grows out, and this like, it's this stressful idea, this confusion, this anger, this, like, frustration, like, you're like, what the, and then, like, you don't know what to do with it because you don't have enough time to digest anything that's going on in your life. Yeah. Because you have to go to work. You got to make money. Yeah. I mean, people I know that live in New York City, like, I mean, I left there years and years and years ago. It was, like, impossible. Like, I mean, people I know who live in New York and have stayed there have moved 6 times in the past 4 years and work 3 to 5 jobs so that they have a place to sleep. Yeah. Yep. That's no life, right? But, like, that's part of, like, this idea of, like, this kind of thing, and it's slowly happening, and it's like, is it something that is necessarily adjustable, or is it something that just
Can't see
needs?
anything.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's so
Does it
dark.
just need to get to a point where it is so overwhelmingly like fucked that we do have that halftime speech finally, freaking finally, or is it just tanking? We just let you know, it's like captain go down with the ship kind of situation. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, yeah, the mechanization of life over the last couple centuries that has like caused, people to live that kind of lifestyle. Everything becomes machine-like. People become machine-like. Civilization becomes industrialized,
Yeah.
and then people get treated like machines, where they just expect you to go to work to pay bills and things like that. And it's, I mean, there are people who are okay with that, and there are people who are not. There are people who love modern technology and all the new advancements and VR and all that sort of stuff, and people who hate it.
Yeah. And in between.
Yeah, and in between. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm kind of in between, leaning toward I hate it. Like, I'm okay with the technology, as like you can use it for good things, but I don't like when technology is used for escapism or when it's used for utilitarian things.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to automate everything. Everybody wants to mechanize everything to like feed their egoic needs. They want to fill their belly with it. They want to fill their bank account with it. They want to do all this sort of stuff with technology, and you get all these factories and mechanization to the point where like people are treated like those machines too. And yeah, I think we're probably just going to create like two different worlds, maybe like two or three different worlds. There's going to be a world of technocrats, a world of naturalists, and a world of people who are kind of in between. And I don't have any hope for a technocrat civilization. I think if we stay the course that we're on right now, it's the end of Western civilization. It won't last another 200 years.
Yeah.
And there will be plenty of people who will resist it. And like, I'm not putting a fucking microchip in my brain. I'm not going to like get the genetic modifications or the pharmaceutical pills or the microchip in my brain that's going to make me compete more. Like, there's going to be people who do all this shit so they can do math better or play the stock market better. And they'll get like some brain chip that can plug them into the stock market or something like that. Yeah. And then if you want to compete in a capitalist society with those people, those transhumanists who are going to change their bodies to make more money, you're going to have to do that too to compete with them. Otherwise, you're going to be left in poverty. They're going to make all the money and you will make none.
Yep.
Which is already what's happening, because my job just got automated. I'm an audio engineer. And because the government fucked me 2 years ago by closing down all the music studios and everything, I lost all of my income. And then I've been trying to build back my business again. And I've been adapting and changing the resources, doing it more from home over the internet and stuff like that. But while I've been doing that, these fucking computer engineers came out of nowhere and made software that basically does my job.
Yep.
So instead of paying me $500 to master your record, they'll pay $5 to some pimpled fucking asshole sitting on his ass. They'll pay him $5 a month to use his software that he spent. He built it using what me and my people have learned over the last 70 years of audio engineering. He just stole all of that knowledge, put it into a computer program, and now he charges a few dollars a month for access to this stuff and put me and all my buddies out of work. And it's like, if you want to do that, if you want your music mixed and mastered, you want some audio project done by a computer program, that's fine. Go ahead and pay for that. You want a human to do it, you can pay me to do it. And that's like... But now I lost most of my clients because most of them they're more like hobbyists. So like they'll happily just have a computer program do it. They don't care if a human does it or not because they're not that serious about their music. They're like SoundCloud rappers and stuff that like don't really care. And so now I only have a handful of clients who actually want a human to do it. And so like, that's the kind of thing. That's like, those are the two worlds that are being created. A world of automation and computers, where unthinking people don't care and will just fall right into that world and not give a damn.
Yeah.
And the world where people still want to interact with other human beings.
Yeah, and it's so strange. I mean, because for me, it's like I'm not like totally like against the growth of technology. It's like it's been so freaking cool, but
Yeah.
exponential speed that it grows at is leaving human beings in its wake.
Yeah. I mean,
and there's some pain there, you know? It's like, it's literally like you're getting tossed off the boat.
yeah.
I mean, you know how much work as a drummer
Right.
I would have
Yeah.
if it wasn't for saying Logic being like, oh, here's 50 stock beats.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. All that shit. It's like
You don't need to even be a musician to make music now.
most music producers don't know anything about music.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually mind-blowing.
Yeah, you have like 15-year-olds who've never studied music theory making like hyper pop or whatever
Yeah,
the fuck
and I'm
it's
like,
called.
I'm not here to like shit on it or
I am.
hate on it. I mean,
I'm
but,
kidding.
but I don't think that means that the other shit is antiquated and not worth anything anymore.
Well,
If anything, it should
worth
be
more.
worth more.
Yeah, but the thing
You
is,
know, I mean,
nobody cares.
It's like when we lost vinyls. Like in the next 10 years, people are going to be like, I want to hire a real drummer again.
Yeah.
I bet you. It'll be turning around. The music industry completely flips its head every 20 years, from my experience and research.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is
It's sad, though.
yeah, like,
But it is what it is. I guess it's like the tides.
yeah. I mean, you're right. Like, there's the point of playing music is to have a human do it.
It's like the tide went out, and I'm like, dude, I want to surf, though. Like, I came here to surf, and the tide's out.
Yeah.
You got these, like, tiny little breakers. Like, this is...
Right. Yeah, we live in this.
I flew all the way out here with my surfboard to surf.
Right.
Or all the way out to Colorado to fucking snowboard. There's no snow and it's icy. Mm-hmm. And the condition... I'm the only one who could hit the mountain because everyone from Colorado is used to the powder. But I came here for the powder and I feel like I'm snowboarding in New Jersey. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it.
Snowboarding in Texas.
I just blew a bunch of money on this silliness. Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly how I see, like, probably 90% of the technology we've developed over the last 200 years,
Yeah.
almost all of it, in my opinion, is just a fad. It's just a trend. Like, almost all of industrial civilization is just a fad.
I mean, that's it's. I mean, at the forefront of all media, they are fads.
Yeah.
What happened was it's like we had clothing fads that would last like maybe 8-10 years, right? Now we have technological fads that last like 1 year, 2 years, 5 if you're lucky.
Well, I mean, I think they last a lot longer. I mean, the basis of
No, but you get a new one. I mean, like, right?
yeah, but
we
it's
had-
still the same thing. It's just a computer.
I mean, of course, it's still the same thing, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it's just new fads. New fads are just a re-engineered version of the same shit, right? Like
Yeah.
MySpace, Facebook, Instagram,
Oh yeah,
Twitter, TikTok, Twitch.
yeah. I just mean the whole
Now
thing.
the new big one is OnlyFans. Mm-hmm. It's
Oh.
fucking like crazy what's going on. It's like every other day. It's just like, well, guess what? You have to rewrite the way you live your life because if you're not fucking with this new app, then you ain't worth a damn. And
Yeah.
it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
And that's what I mean. Like, the whole thing to me is just one big fad.
Yeah, so-
From 1964, when we created the silicon wafer microchip, all the way up to today, it's just one fad.
so do you think all of these things that we're sitting here bitching about is an effect of the eighth sphere?
Yeah. Computer science is like from the eighth sphere. I mean, you look at the history of the silicon wafer microchip, and it's very unclear exactly who invented it. I mean, they have the official story of who invented the microchip in 64 or 66 or whatever. But you can go to 4 different universities and get 4 different answers as to who invented it and when. You'll get various answers from 59 to 68, and you'll get like 4 or 5 different inventors of it. And when you really start to pick it apart and look for it, well, you find like Colonel Philip Corso recovering shit from the Roswell crash and giving it to Vannevar Bush to reverse engineer. So it's like the silicon wafer microchip may have come from a non-human source. We might not even have invented it. It could have been given to us by something that does not have our best interests in mind.
Like spearmint.
Like spearmint?
Yeah, I'd rather wintergreen.
Wintergreen's delicious.
An experiment.
Yeah.
Like an experiment on like...
Or sabotage, like a Trojan horse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, let's see what happens if we
Give them this
It's
technology.
like putting a firecracker in your buddy's pocket and he didn't know you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Let's see how he reacts. Or if he's just like, bam, it's like,
Yeah.
hell was that? You know, it's like, oh shit, you're cold. You're a
way,
cold dude.
I think it's way worse than that.
Well, yeah, no, it's a small little metaphor.
Yeah, it goes back to John Keel. Actually, he considered it a Trojan horse. He talked about the UFOs.
Technology.
Yeah, specifically the silicon wafer microchip. Like, if you track the history of it, unbiased, and don't just listen to the freaking Wikipedia article on who invented the chip, but actually look into the history of the chip and do some like investigative journalism and real digging into it, you always get led back to 1947. And whether it was Nazis or a fucking UFO, those are the two sources of the possible origination of the
World War II ended 46, right?
45.
45.
But in 1947, there was a huge jump in technology, partly because of Operation Paperclip and allowing those Nazi scientists to just infect the whole planet, and partly because of like the Roswell crash and the recovered flying saucers, which may have been aliens, may have been interdimensionals, or literally just might have been those Nazis fucking around still.
That's so crazy.
So imagine if there was an artificial intelligence somewhere in the universe, like an alien computer AI thing, and it just loves conquering all life. It just wants to conquer all organic life or something. It's just spreading itself throughout the universe. But it needs it can't just like conquer something. It has to get you to allow it to conquer you. So it'll crash a few microchips on a planet. The people will pick it up and be like, oh, this is really cool technology. Let's reverse engineer it. And you start putting it in everything. We put silicon chips in fucking everything. And then one day when there's enough silicon wafer microchip infrastructure, there's enough digital infrastructure, suddenly this AI awakens on your world and conquers your civilization, but very slowly and over time so that you don't notice it's conquering you. You think this is your invention. You think you're in control of this technology. Your civilization thinks that this is just progress, technological evolution. And over time, you integrate this technology more and more into your civilization and eventually into yourself. You use it to modify your own genetics, your own brain, things like that. And then one day, you wake up and realize you've been conquered by a fucking alien AI.
Okay. Well, yes.
You know? That could be what the microchip is and all this computer technology and stuff. I mean, it has a very unhealthy effect on humans.
So it gives me this like strange thought. I read this book by Stanley Vera Adley.
I'm not familiar.
It's like this small little pink book. I bought it in Brooklyn at like a used book fair or something like that. It was this cute little pink book. And it had like a snake eating its tail on the cover, and it said "The Finding of the Third Eye" was the title. And there was one chapter in there that spoke about like the inclinations of the human race on Earth versus the animal life and natural life, vegetation on Earth, and how we do the opposite. Everything in nature is about like growing, being one with the environment, dying, giving back, regrowth, all these things where humans go. It's like, oh, wow, look at this mountain. Let's drill a hole through it. Or look at this like field. Let's cut it down and cover it in cement. Or what we do and how we react to our natural surroundings is killing it so that we can own it.
I'd say that's how modern humans do it.
Yes, yeah, that's what she was talking about. Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't say humans in general.
No, but like in this new modern society, this eighth sphere that we're dealing with, basically, that's the fucking status quo. Like, if you don't have the fucking nuts to cut down a forest, put a fucking parking lot and build a huge building and get a bunch of other idiots to come in and give you your money so that you could have a nice pool in your backyard and fly around and pollute the earth and do all this private jet work and all this fucking craziness, you're not a cool person. You're not a badass.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
She compared that mentality to cancer.
Yeah, that's the old Malthusian argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if we can, for one moment, suspend our imagination of how large our universe actually is to the idea that it is way larger than we can comprehend.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
infinite.
perhaps our existence actually is a cancer.
Well, I mean, that's what the elite
And
believe.
the elf, the elf, the elf realm, the eighth realm
Which might be the elf realm.
that we're experiencing, where it's just scrambling people's brains and it's making us go crazy, and civilization can fall again. That's a fear, like da da da. That's just radiation treatment because we're fucking shit up from a much much larger thing, as if our universe is just an atom in another body.
Well, I think the eighth sphere would be the cause of the cancer, not the treatment.
Oh,
You know, the eighth sphere is what makes people want to pave over a forest.
oh, that's the point of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the chemo treatment for existence?
Just probably looking within yourself, looking within your own
Yeah,
heart.
man, because it's crazy. I mean, like our the structure of our universe is the same exact structure of an atom.
If you believe in Niels Bohr's theory, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's like, oh, that's cool. I mean, is that a flat Earth idea? Like, I don't think so.
No.
I think that's a very expanded idea, right? I like that idea.
Yeah, it's the alchemical or the hermetic, as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
like the structure of our little universe, and then our
the solar system.
solar system, universe, like all these things. It all looks like exactly
same.
like under a microscope of atoms and things within our body. Yeah. So who's not to say that those structures are not the same thing inside of a larger body?
Yeah, I mean, that's
right.
Yeah, that's essentially the truth. In fact, the way I see it, the experiences I've had and the things I've studied.
Isn't that wild?
That's absolutely true. That everything on every scale of life is the same.
Yeah. From
the macro to the micro and everything in between and beyond is just reflections of itself. Yeah. And
I like to think of it as like soap bubbles in like a glass.
Yeah, that's
and each bubble is its own cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think that I think there's something in the Mahabharata that describes the cosmic web of reality and how there's all these raindrops on a spider web and they all reflect each other. Like the light passes through all of them and they all reflect each other. And that's like the cosmos. But yeah, to divide yourself off from that wholeness and from that reflectivity and interconnectivity of all things is like you fracture your mind and you start creating an unnatural world, or you kind of lose your mind. Like when you break away from that harmony and from that larger unity.
It is almost like a psychosis.
It absolutely is a psychosis.
You could really freaking flip the head on people that get super creative and they're like, you're a psychopath. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, where you look at someone that is just like, well, I gotta make money.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in what I believe in, fuck you. It's like just a really aggressive psychopathy.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's absolutely what it is. Yeah. I mean, that's my problem with like, I don't like those arguments that people say humanity is a cancer or humanity is a disease. It's like, I'm not a fucking cancer. Like, I don't treat the world the way that like some oil baron treats the world. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's not like a dig towards anyone in particular. I just thought it was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
To think of it that way, because if you can think of it that way, then it's like it kind of like puts like the boot on the ground, like a stomp down, to be like, hey, like, why don't we think about what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Because we have, that's the thing, we have choice. It's like, are we choosing to destroy or live with?
Well, yeah, but that's my problem with the analogy is cancer doesn't make a choice. It's just a disease by its nature.
Yeah, so I guess it's like, it's a metaphor for decision.
Yeah, if cancer could choose to not be cancer anymore, I'd agree with the metaphor. It's just people like Bill Gates believe that Malthusian shit, and he wants to kill everybody. There's a guy named Jonathan Malthus. Was it Jonathan Malthus? He was
I don't know.
in the late 18th, early 19th century. He saw industrial civilization, and he considered humanity to be a cancer, just going to destroy the world, and that there should be population control, and that only
Well, population control is kind of fucking gnarly. That's some wild shit, but I think it's
well,
more.
that's what you do to a cancer, though, isn't it? You stop it from growing and you kill it.
I suppose.
That's why the analogy sucks. Because, like, you look at Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates and all these people, all these elites and all these global bankers and economists, they all believe that humanity is a cancer and needs to be eradicated. That's, like, their core belief.
For real?
Yeah.
Damn, that's fucked up.
That's why I don't like the analogy.
Okay, yeah.
Because,
I'm not saying that I
Yeah.
subscribe to it. I just
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was like I read it like maybe like 10 years ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, I've never thought of it like that.
And to think...
And
It's
to
a
me,
good-
the
yeah.
way I like digested it was like, we need to make sure that we're careful with all of our
Right.
actions in life, so that we
Yeah.
don't eventually become that, because that would be terrible.
Yeah, that's the good
Yeah.
thing of it is you use it to, like, hold up a mirror to yourself and be like, am I a cancer? Am I behaving like a cancer? And then you can make a choice to not behave that way.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
just do that literally with just like any relationship with any friend,
Mm-hmm.
family member, like girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, in your entire life. It's like, how am I acting? Why is this person upset with me but still around me?
Well,
Oh, what am I doing to send negative shit towards them, upsetting them, like da da da? And then you find where your boundaries are, where you can clearly say stuff without like invoking anger or violence, because that creates degradation.
yeah,
And you don't want that with anything in your life, you know?
yeah.
It's unhealthy.
Unless you're into it for some weird reason.
Well, some people do really like to fight.
Yeah, I know. But what you're
Verbally, which is
Yeah.
a pain in the butt.
And
I used to when I
physically.
was younger. I was into
me
that.
too.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
loved fighting with girlfriends. I'd be like, what are you talking about?
I just-
Ma, you want to go?
I would pick
Now-
arguments with anyone. Even if I didn't believe what I was saying, I would just adopt the opposite point of whatever the guy in front of me was saying just so I could argue with him.
Yeah. It's like, well, I guess I'm on your side now. And they'd be like confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm at that point where if someone tries to argue with me, like either I just agree with what they're saying immediately, or I just stop talking.
Yeah.
And then they get so mad because I'm not engaging. It's like, I don't want to engage.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason.
Yeah. Once you get a certain amount of wisdom, you're like, I don't have to prove anything to this person, so I'm just not gonna.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They can believe whatever they want to believe. I don't need to persuade this person to think differently. If this is how they want to think, I'll let them think that
Yeah,
way.
it's like, have fun.
Yeah. But what you were saying of that reflecting thing and like, what am I doing? What can I do to change?
Yes.
This is the most important thing, is that you're coming from a place that unfortunately a lot of people miss. It's probably so obvious to you because you're just more up there. But that
I don't know about that, but thank you.
But it comes from a certain assumption, the assumption that you can change your nature. Whereas a lot of other people, they're like, well, I am the way I am, or there's human nature, and that's just the way we are. And then they think of it in terms of fatalism or determinism, where they now will not attempt to change themselves because they think it's not possible. You know, there's that old saying that people never change, or this is just human nature.
Yeah, I don't believe in either of those.
Yeah, me either. Like, you can change your nature if you put an effort into doing it.
110%.
And that is
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. It takes a great effort because we are controlled in this world by a great many mechanical laws. So because we're so overwhelmed by certain mechanical laws in this world, it can seem like things just happen to you and you have no choice and you just do what happens to you, and that's that, because you're so overwhelmed by so many laws. But you can become less influenced by these laws through great effort, through great inner searching and great willpower and the development of free will, the development of that willpower and that effort to become free from the laws of the environment. And then you realize, like, okay, I can change certain things about myself. It's very difficult because there are all these mechanical laws around me, but we can do it. Most people just get overwhelmed by the mechanical laws, think that's just the way they are, and not attempt to change anything about themselves. And those people are essentially machines. They're little more than machines. And they just go with whatever civilization does. They just go with whatever the environment pokes and prods them to do. And they don't really think about it. They just kind of go through life on autopilot. And that's like where most people are. And they don't make the effort to change themselves. They don't make the effort to see the influence of these mechanical laws that they're subject to. And so they won't change their attitude about certain things.
Oh, it's scary.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrifying.
It's really fucking terrifying to do that, you know?
And now you have like this whole thing where you have people like that don't even believe in the soul. They don't believe in the mind. They don't believe in emotions. Like, I'm a neurosurgeon and I cut brains open every day and I've never seen a soul and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not the point, man. Like, you think you're going to find it in the brain?
It's like, why don't you start doing lobotomies again, you bitch? Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like you expect to find it. They think the soul is like some thing that you can
That's
see
trauma
in the body.
talking right there.
Yeah, it's like this.
They're trying to figure out a way to handle the fact that they're cutting into human being brains.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's their own soul protecting them from such a fucking gnarly thing. I mean, I tend to subscribe to the ITAL thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the non-invasive ways of curing neurological disorders.
Or just anything.
Yeah.
It's like I really struggle with taking pills, like even Advil or anything like that. Like, or, I mean, I guess I'm okay with like casts when I break bones. Because it makes it feel a little bit better. Or
oh, I can hear everyone shouting, so you're a hypocrite. You wear casts when you break bones, so you're a liar. Yeah, I'm fucking with. That's what people will say to you.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that. That is stupid, but that is what people will say.
I mean, so yeah, man. Like, if they're like, we need to cut your foot off for you to live, they'd be like, no, my foot decided to take me out. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to dismember myself to exist so you guys feel better that I'm still around.
I'm the same way.
This is my life. That's the ITAL thing, you know.
Is that a person?
ITAL is like a Rastafarian belief.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, I still eat meat, but
I mean, there are degrees of that kind of
yeah, I don't know.
mentality.
I kind of believe in that, man. Like I'm like, it's like, I mean, it sounds like a silly way to put it, but it's like, you know, what the good Lord gave me, what I get. And,
yeah.
you know, it's like, you want to live a long life of sorrow or like a short life of just like feeling good. You know, it's like, I'm okay with that. It's like, we all need to, like, we said this before, it's like being okay and reminding yourself of death can make sure that you live in the now. So that you can appreciate your life, because we don't have anything but right now. We have memories. Those are nice. Those are cute. Usually they make you sad. And you have the future, which usually can stress you out.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you have right now where you could just smile and appreciate the beauty of your situation and wherever, you know, you pick which one you want. On a fucking spreadsheet, on a test in bullshit ass college, you know, you're gonna be like, I want to be happy. That sounds like the right answer. It's like, live now, man. You know. So like with all that stuff, like I mean, you know, you have to on some level be careful with your medical stuff. Like, go to the dentist or whatever. Like, take care of yourself, exercise, eat well, take vitamins, like all these type of things, hydrate, like, yeah, take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. But when it comes to like modern medicine and like all these like extreme things, I mean, like, I don't know, man. It's like, you know, if you made that choice for yourself to drink 25 soda cans a day for 30 fucking years and you get diabetes and they got to cut your leg off, which is a goddamn shame. Like, that was your existence. That was your choice. And you did that for a reason. You're going to come back with new knowledge now. That's kind of like my belief on it, right? It's like, again, we talked about like the Bardo loop. It's like that type of thing. So then at the same time, it's like, just being comfortable with this loop, and like now with this like eighth sphere thing that I'm trying to figure out, like, it's like, what the hell, dude? It's like an outside factor that is potentially creating reasons that people are doing things like that.
Exactly.
Where they're getting sick and being terrible, and then they're capitalizing to make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
So that's like, we'll make you better. We'll make you better. Ha ha.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, it's like, no, he could have been better, or she could have been better if they were living in like a better situation. They weren't getting plugged. Well, I am drinking a energy drink. I won't say the name right now, but
oh God.
I mean, it's like we all do it. It's like it's okay in moderation. Like, like I'll have a silly energy drink here and there, just
yeah, it's
as a treat. It's a treat, It's not like you drink like 10 of them a day. Of course, you're gonna like whatever, and then you go and you drink a bunch of water and you have a nice meal, eat some vegetables, work out, sweat it out, do your thing. It's like we got to take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this eighth sphere thing is starting to push in where we're not individually focusing on ourselves and taking care of ourselves. It's the same idea where it's like, how can you love someone if you don't love yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Silly saying, it could be on like a plaque in your
kitchen,
aunt's kitchen or whatever. But there's a reason for these tropes.
Yeah. The eighth sphere is basically created by people who are dissatisfied in general. They're dissatisfied with their life. They're dissatisfied with the way the world was created. They're dissatisfied with their own bodies.
But they're still creators because they're human.
Right.
So they're creating from a dissatisfied homeostasis.
Yeah. They want to like fundamentally change themselves. Like the reason I'm so against transhumanism is because I don't believe we're wiser than whatever created us. If you want to call it God or Shiva or Tao, or the absolute, the unified field, whatever the hell, the chaos, the black star, whatever you want to think created us. Something. There's a source of this reality. Mm-hmm. Even an atheist knows this reality came from somewhere. There's a source, and I don't believe we're wiser than that source. So to be like, oh, I'm going to splice our human DNA into something else so that we're resistant to the sun and I'll never get sunburn, or like, so my kid is 7.5 feet tall, or just changing all these things about our genetics, or putting microchips in our brains, or uploading our heads into computers with this Neuralink shit. Like, do you really believe you're smarter than that which created our genetic code? You think you can just get in there and alter it and it's all going to be hunky-dory? I don't believe we have that type of intelligence. So I'm just not going to mess with any of that stuff. If I have issues with my knees and shit. I've got fucking bad tendons and stuff my whole life because I'm what is it, a type Z personality, whatever, a 7th ray person or something, a 9th ray person, whatever the occult thing is, where like I'm not a very physically oriented person. I'm a mentally and spiritually oriented person. So my body suffers because of it. I'm not built for sports
because like
and
you don't work out or exercise.
Well, even when I work out and exercise all the time. Oh. I just don't have the disposition for it. When I work out and exercise, I just injure myself.
Did you work out and exercise at all when you were younger?
I probably started working out when I was like 13, 14. Okay. Yeah, and I had personal trainers and everything, and physics.
Because I read this thing where like if you start like exercising and working out like around like 8 and 10, what happens is like you're creating a synapse in your brain for how your body should react to working out at a very young age, and it carries over into your older age. So if you start working out, I mean, obviously at a certain age, like it's not as effective because your metabolism is getting shitty and like your body's just like getting old and not working as well. But like say I mean, like for me, right, like I started working out because of wrestling and stuff like that when I was like 7 or 8, like rather vigorously and all this shit. And I did it through like high school and all that stuff. And then like first few years of college, I was just like at the drum set. So like I wasn't working out like at all. And like I gained like a bunch of weight and all this stuff, and I was like, oh shit, like I could. First time in my life I wasn't like cut and ripped, like, obviously also testosterone, you're getting older, like whatever. But I started going back to the gym, and like in a week or two I was like fit again. I was like, holy shit, like,
well, that's not what I'm talking about. I thought
this was going to take me months. But I talked to someone and they're like, well, it's because you started exercising when you were a very, very young person and you did it like every single day for X amount of years at a younger age. Like, does your brain build synapses to make it a quicker response like, and I mean, obviously, still age and metabolism affects it. I don't know.
I'm just talking about there are people who have dispositions to, I mean, there are people who don't work out at all and they're muscular as shit and they make great football players and they just eat like crap and they're
So it's like
they're
what
just
percentage of Neanderthal DNA you have? Or
no,
not?
I think it's just there's different spiritual dispositions for different types of human beings.
Oh, because our brain programs our body.
I don't think the brain has much to do with that. It's genes and spiritual impulses, probably.
Interesting.
But my point in saying that was that there are different types of people who have different dispositions and have different things to do with their lives. And there are all these people who think these days that there is an ideal type and bad types, that people who are spiritually and intellectually oriented are like essentially worthless. And the more physical orientation you have, the better of a human being you are. That's just the modern thinking. And they put a little bit of
well, it shouldn't be that way because it's yin and yang, you know?
Sure, but who the fuck is going to understand that in this world?
I mean, it's ancient knowledge. Everyone should.
Yeah, they should.
It's a shame.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you have a lot of people who are dissatisfied. So there will be people who are like me, who are born, I don't give a shit about exercising. It's a waste of fucking time. I have better shit to do. There are people who love sports and love exercising, and that's what they're interested in. I have no interest in that shit whatsoever. But those people who are interested in sports and being tough, they'll become models and athletes, and they'll have all the high social status. And people like me will have very low social status. There are no institutions for intellectuals or spiritual people.
I mean, that depends, though. I mean,
the institutions for intellectual people
I'm not arguing you. It does lean that way, but I wouldn't say it's that black and white. I'm just checking.
Sure, but but you can see that it is. You can see what people desire to have.
Yeah. I mean, look at Instagram. It's just butts and
and they want to alter themselves to fit certain dispositions. Football. And that's kind of the eighth sphere. This transhumanism is they want to change their disposition.
We should be healthy, though. You know, being fit is admirable. I mean, but here's the thing.
I'm not talking about being fit.
You're fit. You're in good shape. Like.
Yeah, through a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Like
that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was going to say this point a while ago, and then you started talking about exercising.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we're way off the rails. It's fine though. I mean, I enjoyed listening to what you're saying, but it was not where I was going. Where I was going is that people want to take that shortcut. Like I wasn't born for physical activity. So through great effort, through hatha yoga and Pilates and other types of training and like Qigong and things like that, I have adapted my body to be fit against all odds. Whereas everybody else these days, they'll go to a doctor. The doctor will give them hormone tablets, will give them we'll replace their ligaments with silicone ligaments. We'll do all these, what I call transhumanist things. We'll give them pharmaceuticals, steroids, these things, and they'll try to take shortcuts to get physically fit. Whereas for me, it was a lifelong process of learning about chi and kundalini, learning about muscle and diet, learning about bone density and stuff like that, and training my mind and body to work together. Mm-hmm. So these people who are into modern medical science and technology and transhumanism are going to skip all those things and just try to take a shortcut. And they're going to be missing out on that deeper knowledge of how to control your body, how to get your mind, body, and emotions in sync with each other.
It's not about the goal, it's about the journey.
Yeah, because the journey probably is the goal, or it will develop you into a more complete person.
The journey is 89% of the experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you want to just throw that out.
Yeah, and that the desire for some type of shortcut.
Now. You don't have anything. I mean, you know, any artists, if they're not going out to restaurants or going to other shows or just talking to random ass people, it's like, what's your material? Mm-hmm. Where are you getting your material from? Just out of your mind? Maybe sometimes, but sometimes you got to go out and experience.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Mm-hmm. Especially in comedy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You need to be very observant of your every moment. Otherwise you don't have anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can like use like the internet and Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff to find material, but like the experience is the fun of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the like we're saying before. Now, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to pee really bad.
Okay.
Where are we at?
Just about 1 hour.
Should we call it
Who are we calling? Yeah, we can.
David Attenborough?
Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you have more?
Oh, I'm sure I could go on and on,
Yeah.
but we don't have to. Yeah, good talk.
Good talk.
Good rant. I'm sure we pissed off at least 3 people.
I hope so. Because if you're not pissed off,
There's some
then
computer
you don't
programmer
care.
out there who
And
is
if you
real
don't
pissed
love
off.
us, then you don't care. You're neither hot nor cold, and you are lukewarm, then I will spew you out of my mouth.
You hear that? Tom's gonna spew out of his mouth.
That's God.
I know who said it. I've read the Bible.
I'm surprised. You read so many books. Like, I wouldn't think that was one you read.
Really?
No, I'm fucking...
Oh, okay. I was like, huh. We've been friends how long? You don't think I've read the Bible?
I love that I got you on that. You're like, wait, are you serious? Of course you read the Bible.
Read it like 9 times.
Yeah. All right, man. I love you.
Love you too, Tom. Great discussion.
Yeah.
Tune in next time. Thanks for watching. Sorry we got all ranty and preachy today, but I think it was important from
fun.
my point of view.
We're ruminating.
We're ruminating.
Yeah.
Trying to just keep everybody healthy and sane.
At least keep myself healthy and sane.
Got to start at home.
Yeah. Deuces.
Deuces.
Bye.